Hey ladies, this is your coach, and I know a lot of you have come to me regarding questions, concerns about performance aids, especially caffeine. So I thought it might just be easiest if I just throw out a video for you guys, talk about the benefits, the disadvantages, what the NCAA is saying about it, and then my recommendations for you guys as my team, okay? And then if we have any questions, absolutely we can go from there. Okay, but first off, what does caffeine do? When we ingest it, what happens? Okay, so when we take a sip of coffee, we take the energy drink, hopefully you're not. Anyway, when that happens, when the caffeine goes into our system, within our central nervous system, it acts like an antagonist to adenosine receptors, So what happens is the caffeine binds to those receptors, and that causes an increase in neurotransmitter release as well as muscle firing rates, okay? And then ultimately it stimulates our adrenaline secretion. So think about it as like you're strapping on a jetpack and you're saying, let's go, okay? So we feel when we take that caffeine, we feel like we can go run a mile, we can really focus in, we can go PR, okay? So those feelings that we feel after we take caffeine is because of its binding to the receptors and increasing the neurotransmitter release as well as the muscle firing rates, okay? However, because of those things that happen biologically, the benefits that we feel, like I said, are increased cognitive functioning. So we feel like we have sharper focus. Our psychomotor skills are on point. Our attention is more focused, okay? Our memory is better. It slows the time to our fatigue. That's why we feel like, hey, let's go out and run a mile because I just drank this whole 12 ounce of coffee and I feel like I can do that, okay? It prolongs that time to exhaustion, okay? It also decreases our perception of pain, okay? Which can lead to the increased firing of our motor units, which can lead to more forceful muscle contraction, which can also lead to, in conjunction with the reduced pain perception, a greater strength production. Okay, so those benefits all sound great and are good in moderation. However, there's a caveat to that, and that is what the NCAA is saying. Okay, so us as a Division I basketball team, we have to abide by the rules and regulations set out by the NCAA if we want to compete. And they are saying that caffeine is not banned as a whole, but the dosages is where it gets tricky. So the NCAA says that higher dosages that lead to urine caffeine concentration greater than 15 milligrams is prohibited. So that's where we have to find that fine line of how much we're using and making sure we are still performing legally based on the regulations that are set for us and the standards that are set for us as a team, okay? So back to the benefits. Studies show that the benefits of caffeine use can be felt for both aerobic and anaerobic athletes and their performance. For anaerobic, we talked about the increased firing rates of motor units, which could be increased force production and increased strength. For aerobic, again, we talked about there's that prolonged time to fatigue or exhaustion, okay? However, some disadvantages. In some, it can increase anxiety, especially during or before pre-game, pre-competitions, okay? You might not know it until you try it, but in some that does increase anxiety, okay? It can decrease our sleep. Depending on when we take it, it can have an effect on our quality of sleep, our ability to fall asleep, and our ability to stay asleep, okay? It can cause restlessness, irritability, headaches, higher blood pressure, and in the extreme cases of super high dosages, it can lead to heart problems, seizures, and death, okay? I'm just putting it out there. There are pros and cons to them. However, as my team, as my group of ladies that I am in charge of, my recommendation is that a little is okay, okay? Myself included, I do have caffeine in my system to get me going, okay? But it's not something to become dependent on, okay? So right now, research is saying like low to moderate rates, so between 3 and 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is an appropriate dosage. Taken about 60 minutes before exercise is a good window. I'm going to stay within those parameters and saying that that's an okay amount. Do I recommend it every day? No. Okay. And more caffeine, so exceeding that 3 to 6 milligrams, does not mean better, faster, stronger. Okay. More doesn't equal better. And lastly, the last little caveat to all of this is do not replace proper sleep, proper nutrition, proper self-care with caffeine. Okay? It's not a one or the other kind of thing. Okay? You're always going to hear me say, make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you're eating right, make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally and physically. Okay? Not just dosing up with caffeine. Okay? All right, ladies, like I said before, if you have any questions, please come and talk to me. If you want more information about this, let's have a sit down, let's chat. There's an open door policy. But until then, I'll see you guys in the court. All right, bye.